Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Williams, and today we are going to learn about developing ideas, the fourth step of the engineering design process. So we've been spending time online researching, looking at videos of past robot builds or reveal videos that are found on YouTube for this year's game. We've been brainstorming ideas, maybe some inspirations from things not related to robotics that helped us inspire some ideas for this year's game. It's time now to take all that inspiration and all of that research and combine it together to fully develop an idea for a robot for this year's game. Now, ideally, you're going to develop more than one idea. Ideally, you have at least 2 ideas to contribute to your team in order to go to the next step, which is choose the best idea. However, if you fully develop one idea, you are at least a contributing member to this process on your team. More is better, but one fully developed idea is definitely important. Now, when you fully develop an idea, you need to draw and sketch out in as much detail as possible the chassis, the lift, and the object manipulator. You also want to sketch out how these 3 systems are going to integrate, how they get joined together. So there's a lot of sketching that has to happen. You will also need to think about dimensions and how are you going to communicate your ideas about how this robot is going to stay in the size constraints or meet any of the other constraints such as number of motors, number of batteries, all those types of things. So not only are you fully developing an idea, but you also are going to use that idea to help you convince your teammates that you have a good idea. So you want to think about maybe the strategy that you think would be good for playing this year's game. That strategy is going to help you pick some of the ideas on what you want to use to develop your ideas. For example, let's say the strategy I want to play for this year's game requires that I am able to pick up a game piece and lift it pretty high, either to score inside of a goal or to stack a riser, whatever game you're trying to build for this season. You want to think about how high that lift needs to go. And that should be a part of your process of deciding what lift you want to use when you develop your ideas. A couple other things you want to think about would be, what's it going to be like to play with an alliance partner? Is there something you want to be able to contribute to that alliance? You got to make sure you include that mechanism. Or if you're in VEX EDR, you are going to have an opponent alliance. And so you want to think about, is there a mechanism to help play defense that you want to include in your robot? Or maybe, if the rules allow, to de-score on your opponent? So these are more mechanisms you would want to include in a strategy or communicate with your team when you're trying to explain your developed ideas. A third thing you might want to think about is autonomous. Whether or not you're going to use autonomous code for the robot skills portion of the game, or even the autonomous 15 seconds in VEX EDR. Is there a sensor or a mechanism that you think would be important for the autonomous period? These are all questions that you should be trying to answer as you develop your ideas. Because when you share your ideas with your team, you're going to have to communicate why you think this is a good strategy and why you think this is a good mechanism. We will talk about how to choose the best idea in the next video. So the big question is, how do you develop the ideas? Well, this can be done in a variety of ways, like everything else in your notebook. But the suggestion I'm going to have is that you sketch quite a bit, that you fully sketch out your chassis, your lift, your object manipulator, and then you include a 4th sketch of how these subsystems will integrate together. How are they connected? Will there be bracing? Is there room for the game field elements to be pulled into the intake or inside the robot? This should all be shown in your integrated picture of all 3 subsystems. Now, there's no correct way to do this, but the more detail you have, the more efficient and effective you will be at communicating your ideas to your team members. All right, good luck with your sketches, and just know that everybody is frustrated with their sketching ability, and the more you practice, the better you get. So good luck with your sketches, and just think, someday you might even learn how to CAD your robot. CADing is computer-aided design, and you can build your robot in a virtual computer simulated environment, and that will greatly help your ability to communicate your ideas to your team. All right, everybody, good luck with your sketches.